All right, I get 7:30. All right, welcome everybody to the January 16th, 2024 edition of the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals. Yeah, so we all participating members are participating remotely. That would be myself, Rob Rosa, that would be Mr. Greg Tanzi, that would be Mr. Stephen Galley, and that would be Mr. Robert Baker Sr. Mr. Robert Baker Jr. is running late. He's coming from Boston. I'm giving him the benefit. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to, and there's Mr. Baker Jr. Perfect timing, sir. Entertain a motion to open the public hearing. I heard you. You're silented, but you're then. I'm going to give you. There we go. I'm going to give you the motion, Mr. Tanzi. I'm giving you the second roll call. And just to be clear, Mr. Baker Jr. is also participating remotely. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Mr. Baker Sr.
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Galley.
Yes.
Meeting's open. All right. 7:30 p.m. remotely conducted continuance public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. on the petition submitted by ANS Construction LLC, Alexander Nicoletta, 73 Catherine Road, Hanson, Mass. 02341 for dimensional variance pursuant to zoning bylaws, Article 5, Building, Lot, and General District Regulations 415-22. Building and lot regulations, 415-89.1 zoning variances, to allow applicant to raise an alleged pre-existing non-conforming two-family dwelling and replace with new construction two-family dwelling on a lot of land having a total area of 16,134 plus or minus square feet. The proposed two-family dwelling meets all the minimum yard setback dimensions as well as the off-street parking regulations for the R2 district, seeking a variance from the total lot area requirements of 65,340 square feet, 32,670 square feet per unit, in order to construct a new two-family dwelling on the existing lot, 8,067 square feet per unit, at the premises known and numbered 398 to 400 Plain Street, Rockland, Mass. The property is located in the R2 Residence Zoning District, Section 415-9 of the zoning bylaw, and is further identified as Lot 31, Map 44 on the Rockland Assessors Maps. The owner of the property is Ramona Downing, 398 to 400 Plain Street, Rockland, Mass. The applicant and all interested parties are advised to check the town website and the zoning board's website for additional information. Okay, I think if my memory serves, we received notification from, it was Attorney Brodsky. Are you here?
Chair Rosa, good evening, and members of the board. Adam Brodsky. As you know, I'm a local land use lawyer, and I'm here on behalf of ANS Construction LLC. And I did write to request a continuance, please.
Okay. Other than that, we don't really need to read Steve, I didn't know if Adam was going to be here or not. He's here. He's formally requesting. We have the letter. You don't have to read it if you don't want to. Seeing as though you are the clerk, Steve. So do you want to read it?
Yeah, Rob, you don't need to read the letter. You can.
I know. I'm just giving Steve the benefit. So
indicate that Attorney Brodsky is representing Mr. Nicoletta, and you've received the letter, and you have to vote to approve or not approve. But
yep.
Customary for us to approve that.
Absolutely. So I make a motion. Actually, Deb's got a question.
Yeah, so we also have to vote to, or the applicant has to grant permission to extend the close of the hearing date. Right now it's set for January 31st.
Attorney Brodsky, will you be able to provide that after the meeting, maybe tomorrow or something?
Yes, Chair Rosa. I spoke to Ms. Shuttlesworth and I told her that we would agree to an extension.
Perfect. Hearing that, I would make a motion to
date and time certain, please.
Yep, continue the meeting. Deb, what do you got for possibles?
March 5th, February 6th or February 20th.
February 6th, does that work for you, Attorney Brodsky?
One moment, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Chair Rosa, thank you, February 6th.
All right, so I make a motion that we continue this public hearing to February 6th at, is 7:30 work for everybody? 7:30, Attorney Brodsky?
Yes, sir.
That's my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second. I'm gonna give it to Mr. Galley. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior.
Yes.
All set.
Thank you. Good night.
Not a problem.
night.
We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
All right.
Adam.
So well, that
Mhm.
was 5 minutes. So we gotta wait 10 minutes for the next public hearing. So. How about them Cubs?
What?
Nothing.
Rob,
I'm trying
just
to,
as
I'm
a-
trying to, I'm trying to come up with some just,
Rob, as a
Well, chat.
procedural matter, can I make a suggestion? When we
absolutely.
schedule our public hearings, let's schedule them all at 7:30. And then you could just take them in the order that makes sense on that particular night.
Deb, we're gonna take that under advisement and go for it. Nice. Thank you, Attorney Galvin. That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Well, it's just pure genius, right?
I'll do that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding with you. So it is the customary practice. That way we can go right from one to the next.
Absolutely. Well, it works for me.
I just want to make sure he didn't need us to read the letter because he didn't appreciate my reading skills or something.
Nice. Nice. Oh, and just so everybody, that was a ginger ale, not something else.
Did you open the can in front of us? We don't know if you refilled it.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I
Good,
mean,
good
just
point,
because there's a
Dave.
No,
Yeah.
but
can of
if we
ginger
want,
ale,
if
doesn't
we
mean it's
want,
ginger
and
ale
we
in
got-
the ginger
we
ale
can go a little
can.
bit further here. This is a music studio, you know. Oh,
Looks like a Heineken can from here.
Canada Dry, baby, Canada Dry.
Yeah, but did he put any VO in that can?
No. Your chairman is no drinker. Let's just say that. Oh. Oh. Mr. Baker Jr., when you called, where were you at that point?
Oh, I was only one exit north.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
For some reason, I felt like you were, you were just getting out of the tunnel or something like that.
No. It was a long ride from Waltham tonight. So,
I believe it.
oh, an icy ride actually. Long.
I believe it. I believe it. So Waltham, I thought you were in town. For some reason, I thought you were in Boston.
No,
It's funny because supposedly my daughter's going to Waltham. Should probably text her and just make sure that she knows that, hey,
as the saying goes, be careful out there.
yeah. Okay. That makes me feel better. Is this? Review. Yeah. 7:45, here we go. 7:45 PM, remotely conducted public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, at 7:45 PM on the petition submitted by Robert Russo and Christina Russo, 129 Howard Street, Rockland, Mass. 02370 for dimensional variance is pursuant to zoning bylaw section 415-22 building and lot regulations, section 415-24 non-conforming uses, section 415-26 lot size reduction, section 415-27 lot width, section 415-28 frontage requirements, and section 415-89.1 zoning variances to allow the applicant to divide the premises at 129 Howard Street and 121 Howard Street, which have merged into one lot for zoning purposes into two non-conforming lots with the former lot line between 129 Howard Street and 121 Howard Street identified on the plan filed with the zoning application being moved in a southerly direction approximately 4.5 feet. The applicants depict parcel A containing approximately 311 square feet being conveyed from 121 Howard Street to 129 Howard Street, and assert that the alleged property line between lots 46-103, 129, and 46-100 is angled, cutting off the corner of the driveway of 46-103, 129. The applicants also assert that altering the line toward 46-104, number 121, would keep the driveway whole and minimize the frontage of 46-104, 121 minimally. The premises affected by this relief are known as and numbered 121 Howard Street and 129 Howard Street, Rockland, Mass, located in the R3 Residence Zoning District, section 415-10 of the zoning bylaw, further identified as lots 102, 104, 46, lots 102 and 104, map 46, on the Rockland Assessors Maps owner Robert Russo and Christina Russo, 129 Howard Street, Rockland, Mass. The applicant and all interested parties are advised to check the town website and the zoning board's webpage for additional information. Let's see, who do I got here? Mr. and Mrs. Russo, how you doing?
Yes, how are you?
Hi.
Are you gonna speak on your own behalf for this one?
I'm going to speak on my own behalf. I want you to take a sip of your ginger ale after all that you said.
Thank you. Yeah, did you guys write that? That was a rather lengthy
No.
and wordy.
I did not write that. That
Okay,
is
that was-
I gotta just say, I'll be as brief and as basic as I can be because I am neither an attorney nor a surveyor or anything else. But
Okay.
basically, we've lived in this house at 129 Howard Street for 26 years. And we know the lot of land is not huge, but you know, it is what it is.
Mhm.
And then about 5 years ago, we had the opportunity to purchase 121, which we did. At that time, I had the property surveyed, and unknown to me, because the driveway has been in that same spot since the day we purchased the home, we saw how the angle went. It went crooked. So I thought to myself, I think it'd just be I thought to myself, and that's my ignorance, I guess, this would be just a quick, I could go up, you know, obviously go in front of you folks and ask to straighten the line out. I didn't realize that I don't even know how anybody would make it crooked like that to begin with. It doesn't even like run straight with the houses.
Mhm.
So that's where we are here today. I mean, I try to do the best I could and go with how it should be done. Went up and saw Deb up at the town hall, got the paperwork. I've been doing this since July because obviously we all work full time. I'm you know, a million different things going on like everybody. So
Sent out all the letters.
it took time to get what we needed, and basically here we are. Basically that line goes from absolutely nothing to about 5.4 feet. And so again, I just thought, or I was hoping that it wasn't going to be, you know, a big grandiose thing to try to straighten the line. I didn't.
Guess
I
what?
didn't. Huh?
Guess what? It's not that simple. A lot of, I know we had talked at one point, I think you and I talked on the phone. At
Oh,
one point.
yes, yeah.
So what's basically, I know what you're trying to do. I think the board kind of knows what you're trying to do. The only problem is that you own a lot of land out here. You own 129, you own 121, but you also own that giant piece behind it. Okay, and we just want to make sure that everybody knows kind of what's going on here. It's been said that since you own both of these houses, since you own both 129 and 121, the lot line between them goes away. At least it's been stated that.
Crazy.
And how did that happen, if I might ask? Because I don't,
Because you own, and in this case, I'm gonna go to Attorney Galvin. Can you speak to that at this point? I don't know if he's hearing me.
Rob,
Yeah.
can I share my screen?
Absolutely, if you want to, go for it.
Will it work? Okay. Okay, it will work. Can you see that now?
You're starting, there you go, gotcha.
Okay. I don't remember which house the Russos owned first or which one they lived in, but they own,
the one that's at the corner of Vernon and Howard, that
okay,
129.
so that's
right there.
129.
Correct.
Okay, and I've kind of highlighted in yellow the existing boundary line for that lot.
Yep.
And then they, at some point, acquired the parcel behind, and then they, at some point, acquired 121.
Yes.
By operation of law, when you acquire title to adjoining lots in the same name, they merge into one lot for zoning purposes. Nothing that the Russos, I think, purposefully did resulted in that. But legally, what they have is two houses that, you know, probably formerly didn't conform to lot dimensional standards that may now conform to standards. And the lot has to be redivided legally in order to have a lot that doesn't have significant zoning issues. So in fact, they may have bought 1, 2, and 3 parcels at separate times, but the law looks at it as if they own one lot with multiple buildings on it. And they're not just moving a lot line between 121 and 129 anymore. They're creating a lot line between 129 and 121. And they're not even addressing all of the issues that they potentially have, because there's a 2-story building in the middle. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but that building right now, as we sit here today, conforms to zoning because it meets all the side setback requirements. It's probably set back more than 10 feet from the 1-story frame garage. But that lot, that 2-story wood frame now, according to the way this lot is divided or laid out, will violate a setback or a rear setback requirement. The 1-story wood frame garage that's right below it doesn't violate any side setback requirements, but will when you establish that new lot line between 121 and 129. And, you know, we also have a frontage issue because if you look at the zoning chart for this district, you know, you're supposed to have 110 feet of frontage. The combined lot has more than 110 feet of frontage, but each of these 2 new lots have less than 110. So you're creating 2 dimensionally non-conforming lots. And I feel very badly for the Russos because I don't think they did anything, you know, knowingly wrong, but they're stuck with the situation. And, you know, I think the board can try to help them, but I'm not sure they applied for all of the right relief even. And my thinking was that they ought to get a land use lawyer that is familiar with this issue, make sure they've got all the proper relief, because let's assume the Russos at some point in their lives are going to want to sell these things. If they don't get the right relief here, they're going to have a hard time selling them in the future, or even worse, like refinancing, because a surveyor is going to go out there, look at the title, see that all 3 lots were co-owned, and see that it wasn't redivided. And technically, they've got a subdivision issue, zoning issues, and they're solvable. And the board is probably the right place to help them out in the end. But you got to make sure you ask for all the required relief.
Mhm.
And it's unfortunate. We do a lot of conveyancing in our office. I don't do anything, in Rockland. But we guard against, and we advise people not to buy lots that abut their existing lots, particularly when they're non-conforming, because you can inadvertently do what the Russos have done and created subdivision and zoning issues for themselves.
Mhm.
I think that they do need some variances, and it's a small area, and it'd be nice to ignore the fact that they've done this merger. But if we ignore it, we're not helping the Russos in the long term. All we're doing is passing the buck, and someone else is going to raise these issues, and it might be in a time when the Russos are in a rush to sell the house or need to refinance, and I don't want to see that happen either for their
Mhm.
benefit. And I don't want them to take this the wrong way. They didn't obviously realize what they were doing when they bought these adjoining parcels, and a lot of times it's a good idea to get extra land or buy something that's right next to you for lots of reasons. And we can probably solve this, but I'm not sure that they've asked for all of the relief they need.
Hearing that, Mr. and Mrs. Russo, what do you think?
Oh, what do we think? I didn't hear what you said.
We think that is like old New England craziness, of
No,
course.
yep.
But but that's exactly right. Like we, have been in this house for how long? 26 years. 26 years. And then that the main homeowner had died in our other house. They were like family to us. Then
Mhm.
their family offered us first option to buy that house.
Mhm.
And I guess we need to get a lawyer and have them.
Well, again, like I
figure
said,
this
I
out.
didn't know what kind of a thing it was. I just thought it was an easy fix. So
No,
I mean,
that's absolutely understood. And I can tell you this, I did a lot of research on this today. All right. Most of the town halls saw me running around to different offices trying to get information about this. Some more information has come up that I was able to dig up about what was going on here. First and foremost, maybe I don't know if you knew this, maybe you did know this. The back piece, there used to be a house on that lot.
yeah, the original house to the property.
157 Vernon Street. When did that get taken down? Do you remember?
That was
You know?
before our time.
Oh gosh, yeah,
I-
that
I-
was.
That was on the other side of that barn that's out there, and we have a photo of the house, the house, the original house in our house.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
So
That was, a very, very long time, because the farmer built these 2 houses, the one we
Mhm.
live in first for his
Mhm.
first daughter,
Yep.
and then he built the second one for his second daughter, and he lived with each daughter, and then they, I think I don't know what they did with that house. Just
from
bulldozed it, or there was no bulldozer.
yeah,
I'm sure just
it
wrecked it
fell
into
down
the
and they no,
ground
I
or
did
something.
fell down
I
into a
know
hole. I
that.
think.
We saw I kept seeing this basically as somewhere in like the mid-60s is when the house came down. That's from the research that I kept doing, that I kept coming into.
Oh yeah, so maybe that was the Lannons. I think the Lannons had owned the properties.
Again, there's other information that came out. So again, as council suggests, you may want to get a land use attorney on this, because what it really comes down to is and you probably know this, but the zoning board doesn't grant the subdivision. The planning board is who is, and it's not it's supposed to be not a subdivision, the way that you want to do it. It's supposed to be not a subdivision. The planning board would endorse the plan, and then everything would be fine. The zoning board here, we're just basically, we're looking at the zoning portion of it, and either going to grant variances or not grant variances. But knowing that there's issues, I don't know that the board can grant variances at this point, because there's not title issues, but there's definitely property line issues. Because if all of those lines are actually gone, then what Attorney Galvin is saying is correct. You've got one giant piece of property, as opposed to 3 lots. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what we're having. We're having an issue at this point. So based on what Attorney Galvin is saying, the plan's not drawn right. You've got one giant lot as opposed to 3 individual lots. So what the surveyor has drawn
No,
here.
I'm just having trouble wrapping that around because we had our lot.
Yep.
And then we bought these, but it didn't change the address of the places.
I
It's
understand
an
that.
That's an assessing thing.
Yeah, that's an assessing thing. What we're talking about is it's a part of the subdivision control law, and it's a part of chapter 40A when it comes to zoning. Again, this is where an attorney is going to come into play for you guys, because like I said, and again, I'm looking at what Attorney Galvin is saying, and he's saying that all of those internal lines have disappeared because you now own all of that property. Because the only way, what happens, and again, in the layman's terms, if you've got one piece of property that's pre-existing non-conforming, meaning it's too small and it doesn't have the right amount of frontage. If you buy the piece next to it, they merge into one, because the whole point is that it's to get it to conform to the current zone. That's how it works within the law. Now you've got 3 pieces, and those internal lines have literally gone away. Even though there was no formal plan that did it, those lines went away.
So you're saying that we couldn't even sell that house?
Not
Well,
legally.
you could, but what would happen is, if you wanted to sell 121 right now, and you went to sell it, you tried to do it, some people might not catch this issue, but a competent surveyor and a competent conveyancing attorney are going to see that there was a merger by the acquisition of abutting lands in the same title, and you'll not only have a zoning problem on the lot you sell, but you'll have a zoning problem on the lot you retain. And all of you, whether it's the future buyer or you as retaining ownership of 129, are going to have a zoning issue that you're going to have to solve. And if you don't, there's a thing they call infectious invalidity, which will act like a virus, and it will continue to affect your lot until somebody cures it appropriately. And you might have difficulty financing or refinancing or selling if you don't solve it correctly. And you probably won't do much different than what you've proposed on this plan, but it's not really moving a lot line, that parcel A that you want to give to, 129. And by moving the lot line, you're not actually doing that. You're actually creating a lot line. You're not moving a lot line. And so you're going to need 2 things. You're going to need zoning relief, and you're going to need subdivision approval. And you probably can't get the subdivision approval pending until you get your zoning approval. And the surveyor you have, Mr. O'Brien, probably be helpful to you, or Dennis O'Brien, but he's going to need to work with a lawyer to figure out how you divide these off. And then when you get the approvals, you're probably going to want to place the other property into a different name so that you don't have this problem anymore. Like you'll put it into the Russo Family Trust, which is different than Robert and Christina Russo. And that way you won't have a merger. I mean, you'll still technically own it, but it'll be owned in the name of a different entity. And then you'll, with the appropriate zoning relief and the appropriate division of the land, you'll have properties that you can refinance, finance, and sell.
Attorney Galvin?
Yeah.
Could they file a Form A plan under Section 81L and get rid of this infectious invalidity?
I don't think so, Greg. It's a good idea. The reason why they can't do it is because I think they've merged the lots, and it wasn't a lot with 2 or more structures on it existing in its current configuration at the time of the adoption of the subdivision control law. They've changed the lot lines. Like if there were 2 structures on a lot in 1955, I think was adoption of subdivision control law, they'd be able to divide it as long as they were residential structures into 2 non-conforming lots. But I think that where this lot was added, and I don't remember the exact dates, but I did look up the plans. They're more recent. They're in the 2000s. So I think I don't think that'll work. I do think that there's a way to do this that I think the board would be sympathetic for. Obviously, we don't think you did this on purpose, but we also have a responsibility to make sure you solve it correctly so that the board grants the right relief and that you're going to be okay in the future.
Okay, so I guess we'll just have to talk to an attorney on it then.
Well,
mean-
that's first and foremost. And Attorney Galvin, can you get that plan off? Just so I can get.
I'll
I just wanna
take that
get
down.
everybody-
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I just wanted to get everybody so I can see him.
Yep.
All right. Mr. and Mrs. Russo, you think you're gonna try to talk to an attorney?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to continue this public hearing?
No.
You don't want to.
Do I,
Okay,
or what, I don't know what the right answer is.
So
I
Rob, can I just jump in?
yeah, go ahead.
I recommend, and I'm doing this because I think the board, really has a responsibility to be honest and fair with you, that you should ask for continuance, okay?
That's where I
And
was going.
extend the time frame, and then give the attorney that you contact the advertisement and show him the plan. And it could be him or her too. There's many good men and there's many good women that are land use and conveyancing attorneys, and they'll understand instantaneously if they're experienced what the issue is, and they will help you by probably amending your application so that you get all the correct relief, and then telling you what types of plans you need to create this. Okay, you might end up with 2 lots. You might end up with 3 lots, but you need to contact somebody that has some experience in zoning, and particularly zoning in Rockland, but not exclusively in Rockland, because the same concept would apply whether you were in Rockland or you were in Hingham or you were in Hanover. The same rule would apply. Okay. And the board is happy to try to help you. That's why they're here. But they wouldn't be helping you because they're not going to give you everything that you really need to make this right. So
Okay.
when you hire the lawyer, if the lawyer needs to talk it over as to what was good, you're welcome to have them contact me, and I'll explain what I think, and maybe that'll help you too. Okay, the board's not here to hurt you. The board is here to help you and solve it the right way so that you don't have this problem going forward.
Okay. We appreciate the information.
So are you requesting a continuance at this point?
We are requesting a continuance at this point.
Yeah, what's first and foremost, how long do you think you need to find a couple of attorneys, talk to them, choose an attorney, kind of sort of get this going?
Rob,
30
I'm gonna
days,
suggest they pick a
30
date in March.
Yeah,
because they're gonna need 30 days with the attorney and engineer to kind of correct the plan, and
easily.
we may
Deb,
have
what
to.
do
Yeah,
you got
we
in
could
mind?
do
we
a
have to
day in March.
re-advertise too.
I mean, originally when you were throwing out that February date to the other guy, I thought it was a good date. It's my birthday, and I figured you guys would give me a gift. But anyway, we'll go with March.
What do you got in March, Deb?
The 5th or the 19th.
The 5th of the 19th. 5th of the 19th, Russo's, what do you think?
We'll do the 5th.
We'll do the
Look,
5th.
look at if you get to the 5th and you haven't been able to figure it out, contact Deb Shuttlesworth at the town hall, and let us know, and we'll move it to the next date. Okay, for you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Based on the timing at this point, between Deb and Bob, will we need an extension of the? Will we need an extension?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they've requested variances, Deb.
So I have 100 days is March 24th.
Okay.
So right
Alright.
now, we don't need it. If it goes over that, just keeping everybody
Okay.
okay, so at this point, I would make a motion to continue this public hearing to March, what was it, 5th?
5th.
March 5th at 7:30 PM. Does that work?
Okay.
Yep.
Yes?
Works.
Make a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second on Mr. Baker Jr. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes.
All right.
Bob,
Public hearing.
I got a question for Attorney Galvin.
Oh, yep.
Bob, do we need to make a motion to give you permission to talk to their attorney?
No, I mean, we try to answer basic questions, to try to, if there's a procedural question. We don't spend a lot of time doing that typically. I review what gets filed. Deb sends it over to me when the notice comes out.
Mhm.
I just don't spend a lot of time doing that, but this would take me less than 5 minutes to explain to any competent attorney or surveyor.
That's the only question I had, Bob.
Sounds good to me. All right. Meetings
Alrighty.
continue. We'll see you in March. If you got any questions, call Deb and we'll go from there.
All righty.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Russos. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go. Where are we next? 7:45. Then it was 8 o'clock, 8:13. Okay. 8 o'clock PM, remotely conducted public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, January 16, 2024 at 8 PM on the petition submitted by Gary Campbell, 860 Main Street, Hanover, Mass. 02339 for use variance pursuant to zoning bylaws section 415-13A LI, Business 1 zoning district, 2-family and multifamily residences, except on or below street level floors, and section 415-89, .1 zoning variances to allow applicant to use the first floor of the premises for residential purposes instead of the required business use at the premises known as and numbered 17 North Avenue, Rockland, Mass. Property is located in the Business 1 zoning district, section 415-13 of the zoning bylaw, and is further identified as lot 53, map 34 on the Rockland Assessors maps. The owner of the property is CamI Realty Trust, 860 Main Street, Hanover, Mass. 02339. The applicant and all interested parties are advised to check the town website and the zoning board's webpage for additional information. Okay, who is here to speak for the applicant tonight? Hearing none?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Gary.
Gary, okay, name and
Gary Campbell,
Gary Campbell, okay.
Yep. 860 Main Street in Hanover.
Okay, so talk to us. Let us know what you want to do.
Well, CamI Realty Trust owns that building at 17 North Avenue. The
Mhm.
top floor is residential. The street level has been used business. It was actually, it was my office. I had a medical practice in there for 30 years and have closed it as of about a year ago. And I'm just seeking to change the zoning to allow now the first floor office to be converted to another residence or an apartment.
Okay. Is that all, is that it? That all you want to do?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna open this up to the board. Mr. Tanzi, you have any questions for the applicant?
So it's a, it has always had two uses in that structure, in that house or building from the very beginning.
Well, of course, when it was first built, it was a farmhouse with a barn. And then at some point, it was a single family home. And then my understanding is there was a foot doctor in that building, maybe in the 30s or 40s, Dr. Leveleld. Now, I don't know if he owned the whole building or lived there and had his practice there also. Subsequent to him was Dr. Robert Collins, who was an optometrist, and he used the first floor as his office, and he rented out the upper story as an apartment. And he retired in 1992 when I took over. And I was there for 30 years, having my office on the first floor with an apartment on the second level. So prior to Leveleld, I don't know exactly when that zoning went into effect.
What you're saying is accurate. I think those uses are grandfathered because they predate zoning that came into play in the early to mid 50s here in Rockland. Is how I see it. I don't know if anybody has any other opinion on that or sees it in a different way. But that's basically the only comment that I really have.
Okay, Mr. Galley, what do you, any questions for the applicant?
Well, I don't think the applicant could really answer it, but the area is supposed to be business or commercial on the first floor, and the above floors can be residential. So in the neighborhood, are other commercial properties in the same position? Are they empty and not able to get renters or tenants?
Well, where the building is situated, it's really in a residential area. On each side of the building, there is Brentwood Arms and another apartment building. And Darling Court is all residences. It's all privately owned homes. So this business zoning on the first floor is a little unusual. It's kind of an island and it's isolated in a residential area.
I have a follow-up. So you're saying, I did see Brentwood Arms as residential. So, but then going on the other side, it's residential 100%?
Yeah, 11 North Avenue, which is the adjacent building, is just apartments.
All right, thank you.
Still all in that business zone though, correct?
What, the building that I'm in
No, basically that whole area.
is what, business?
Yeah. You've got all kind, there's a residential home on Darling Court that's in a business zone. All of these are business zone and they're pre-existing, they're basically the single family end of it. A lot of it is pre-existing, it's pre-existing. So, and it's non-conforming. Your building, all right? You had your business on the first floor, correct?
Correct.
For how many years?
30.
Okay. So for 30 years, you were, and up until, when did you quit your practice, basically? When did you?
A year ago, August.
Okay, so basically, up until a year ago, so 2023, up until the 2023?
22, August
All
of
right.
22. Yeah.
Up until 2022, you were meeting the zoning bylaw. Business was on the first floor and residence was on the second floor, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure everybody's, clear on. Mr. Baker Jr., I want to hear from you, sir.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the applicant, do I understand the direction you're going is to essentially say that if this application or this variance were allowed, it would not alter the character or the nature of the neighborhood or the use that the neighborhood is in?
Well, I would say it would probably have a positive effect on the neighborhood. A business being there, and I don't know what type of business would be interested in that location. I suppose it could be
Dentist?
insurance or another medical office, or it could be a nail salon. But there'd be, cars coming and going all during the day. And I just, as a resident, it would be more of a residential atmosphere for Darling Court.
Yeah, I think I probably framed my question rather poorly.
Okay.
What I was trying to get at is it wouldn't, based on your description of what's around you,
Yeah.
it would not be inconsistent with the rest of the use of the area. Would that be a correct way of characterizing it?
If it were allowed to be a residence?
Yes.
Yeah, I would not say it would alter the surround, correct?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, could I ask the Vice Chairman a question?
Absolutely.
Greg, just to follow up on the statement you made, do I understand correctly that if your interpretation is correct, that the applicant may be seeking relief that he doesn't need?
Well, yeah, when I made that statement, yeah, but and then I was reminded that he's in a business district, so
Okay.
he's changing. Well, he's got some residential use already in a business district, but it's
Allowed. That's allowed.
Yeah.
What he's been operating as has been allowed. That's the intention of the B1 district. He's been operating in the B1 district the correct way the whole time.
Okay. So he could go total residential and
Not without a variance.
not without a variance. Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
That
All
does
right.
it for me for now, Mr. Chairman. Thanks.
I appreciate it, Mr. Baker Jr. I appreciate that. Mr. Baker Senior, talk to me, sir.
The out in front on Union Street is a strip mall with 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 businesses.
Mm-hmm.
The apartment building behind it, the white one that faces North Ave. How many units are in that? Do you know offhand?
This is 11 North Avenue. I think it has 6 apartments. I'm not positive. It could be 4. I've never been in that building.
Okay.
How many parking spaces does your building have?
At least 6.
What would be the parking requirements for that? Would it be a single family, 1-bedroom apartment, or would it be multi-bedrooms?
Yeah, I guess the question I think is how many total parking spaces are technically required for this overall
Right.
use?
Yes,
So how many units are on the second floor, Mr. Campbell?
One,
Okay, so you need
It's a-
3 spaces there.
it's a one bedroom, yeah.
All right, it's a one, so you need 3 spaces per unit. So that's 3 spaces. And then for the bottom floor, you would need how many spaces? Is it only gonna be 1 unit?
1 unit.
All right, so you'd need 6 total spaces. Do you have that?
At least, because there's a parking area for, it had been for patients and customers.
Mhm.
And that's at least 4, probably 5. And then there are 2 right in front of the garage.
Oh, so based on the site plan that you threw, that you incorporated into the application, I'm looking at Google Earth as well. So it looks like there's a decent amount of parking in paved area. It's not separated, so you really can't, and we really don't know how big it is. So don't necessarily know if there's enough to equate 6 parking spaces. I don't know what the dimensions are. So that would be one thing that I'm kind of questioning. And the other thing is that, can you explain to the board how you meet the criteria for a use variance? Have you looked at the bylaw when it comes to use variances and how the board can grant them?
Well, I did visit the website. I can't recall that, though.
Okay, because that's what you would have to present to us. How does your application meet the criteria for the zoning board to be able to grant you the use variance?
Meaning, what is the justification for doing it?
Not the justification, but how do you meet the criteria? There's certain criteria that the zoning board has to look at when it comes to granting a use variance. And the
Yes.
thing is that one of the things is that you would have to prove to us that you can't do anything else other than a residential. Basically.
Well, I don't know if I could prove that. I mean,
And I don't know if you meet the criteria for a zone, for a use variance. That's the problem. Because right now, I know what you're trying to do. And I respect I respect this, all right? Because primarily that area is residential. I'm not gonna say that it's not. But it's pre-existing non-conforming. All right, yours actually works for for the zone that it's in. Have you looked at trying to rent the bottom floor to a business? Have you explored that?
Not yet. I thought I would do this first,
Okay.
because that would be my desire, would be to have it as residential.
Bob, how do we, Attorney Galvin, sorry, how can the board look at this as meeting the criteria for a use variance? I don't see how this works.
The applicant would have to convince you that there's something unique about the soil, shape, or topography of the lot that's unique to this lot and not prevalent in the zoning district, that causes a significant hardship, financial or otherwise. That hardship cannot be personal financial hardship. It has to be a hardship relating to the soil conditions, shape, or topography of the lot. And then the applicant has to convince you that by granting this relief, it's not going to be in substantial derogation with the spirit or intent of the bylaws, which in this area were written to prevent first floor residential uses.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no special privilege being granted by doing it. It's a very difficult variance standard, and things that sound like they make a lot of sense, maybe they do, really need to be advanced through the zoning change process rather than via a variance, because if you grant one here, the next door neighbor who may have a business on the first floor might decide they want that too.
Mhm.
And, you know, you always run the risk of that. And, you know, it sounds like Dr. Campbell's a super nice guy, and, you know, it's a tough situation, but unfortunately that's the zoning in that area. So, and we've had other cases where we had commercial uses on the first floor and more uses on the second and third floor, I think. And, you know, the board is basically probably not granted that relief. So it's a tough situation to be in.
Hearing that, Mr. Kim, is there
Yes.
can you speak to any of that? You know, when it comes to the specific hardships that he was mentioning?
Well, I didn't completely understand everything. He was talking about alteration of the soil or,
No hardships.
yeah.
Yeah, the variance standard requires the board to make a finding that there's something unique about the soil, shape, or the topography of the lot that really kind of compels the board to conclude that it can't be used for business purposes, and that residential is the only practical use of the property. And I suspect the reason you're having difficulty is it's a really tough test, and no disrespect to you at all. It's just a really tough test. It's a tough test when we're dealing with dimensional variances. It's
Mhm.
even more difficult on a use variance.
Yeah, I would say that it has been operated as a business for 30 years. So that certainly speaks against it not being possible to be run as a business. Because it has been run as a business.
Mhm.
So I don't think that I would be able to meet that criteria because I had my business there for 30 years.
So,
I don't honestly see how that criteria could be met. And I understand the board's wanting to keep businesses, to keep the town vibrant. But this is sort of, I don't know, it's kind of tucked away from the center of town. It's a residential area. We never really had any complaints, except sometimes people would park when the parking lot was full on adjacent lots. Cars coming and going. And I know one of the women on Darling Court is a nurse, and she works odd hours and tries to sleep during the day, and the traffic kind of coming and going in and out of the office wasn't desirable to her. But other than that, I would say, no, I could not prove that it could not be run as a business because that's what I was using it for.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes, Mr. Baker Senior.
I think if we granted this variance, we would be setting a precedent up and down Union Street,
Mhm.
because down the other end, we're already fighting one.
Mhm.
So I think with some of the buildings that are up in the center of town that are vacant, if we granted this one, I think there'd be a snowball coming at us.
I would tend to agree with you. So I'm gonna ask Mr. Gallant, talk to me, sir.
I just want to make a statement or an observation. I think we've kind of covered it, but one, the applicant has already stated he hasn't attempted to rent the property as a business or commercial enterprise for new. And two, he obtained it when it was zoned that way, I believe, unless it was, because I wasn't heard that it was pre-existing, so he obtained it as that zoning. And three, he could sell it. He's not operating there.
Mhm.
Option for him too. So I just want to say that out loud.
Mhm.
To second what Mr. Baker Senior said, we've already rejected other applicants of a similar nature.
Mhm.
mixed commercial use and residential use buildings of the same type. And I agree with consistency. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mr. Galley. I appreciate it, and you know I appreciate that. Board members, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting, but here's what I'm thinking. If the applicant were to request it, I'm thinking we could allow him to withdraw without prejudice. And in the time that he withdraws, he could try to rent it out to a business, see if that all works. If after some time, if it doesn't work, the applicant could then consult with an attorney that might be able to guide him in how a use variance may be able to be acquired on the property. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Because if we vote on it tonight and we say no, you can't touch it for 2 years. Mr. Campbell, listen to what I'm saying. If the applicant chooses to withdraw, it gives them
No,
the
I think,
ability.
I think I understand what you're saying, Bob.
Okay, all right.
You know, it's,
I'm
without,
not telling you to
like you
do
said-
anything.
yeah. And to have a ruling, like you say, would push it back at least 3 years. I would, you know, and I understand the board's position and the precedent that it might set,
Mhm.
the snowball effect. You know, I had considered those things, but I didn't know if this were unusual just because of the location of the building
No,
away
because
from
the other thing is not to interrupt, sir, but the other
Yeah.
thing is, I don't know if, I'd have to look at this, that, I know the zone is B1. I don't know if this piece of property is also in, was that the D-Rod? I know that,
The overlay district?
yeah, that overlay district, the D-Rod overlay district.
Right.
Because if it's in that, then that really, then that's really something that's something that you should probably look at. You should see if this piece of property is in the overlay district, the D-Rod overlay district. I know the piece of property up front is. I know that like the convenience store and stuff is, but I don't know about anything on Darling Court. I don't know if any of the business properties on Darling Court or North Ave are within. Actually, I might be able to answer the question. Maybe. One of the reasons I love Zoom is because I have all this information here. Go here. Give me a second, it's gonna lag for a second. No, it's not. It's just a piece of property up front. All right. So either way, it's still within the B1 zone. You've been operating accordingly. So again, knowing what we were talking about, knowing that, knowing what I was, not, if you understand what we're talking about, Mr. Campbell, what would you like to do then?
I guess the choice is just to withdraw.
It's up to you. I would say if you are requesting, I would say that if you want to do that, you need to request that the board grant allow you to withdraw without prejudice, and then you would need to put together a letter and get it to Deb tomorrow morning stating that you formally withdraw your application. So
Well,
is that something you'd
yeah.
like to do, sir?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I would tend to, I see Mr. Baker Jr.
No, I was ready to make a motion, but if we're not
Make
at
it,
that
sir.
point yet,
Make it, sir. We're at that point. If you want to make a motion.
I would make a motion that we grant the applicant leave to withdraw his application without prejudice.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second on Mr. Baker Senior. We need a roll call. Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. Galley?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Senior?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, as long, just do me a favor, get a letter stating as such to Deb tomorrow morning. That way we have it and we can get it to the town clerk. So everybody knows that the application has been withdrawn. Give it some time. Try to rent it out to a business, see if it works. If it doesn't work, contact a land use attorney. Tell him what you're trying to do. Make sure that he knows about about use variances in the town of Rockland and the criteria needed to be able to convince the board to grant that variance.
I
If we're able to do
understand.
that, then we can, then that's something that the board will entertain. That's why I'm doing it. That's why I kind of wanted it to go this way because
Yeah.
of the no, because of the no prejudice. This gives you a little bit more opportunity.
Got it.
All right, Mr. Campbell, that's all set for right now. We'll look forward to hearing from you in the future.
All right, well, thank you for your time.
All righty, sir. Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, guys, let me get to the application. Next one is perfect. We got time here. 8:15, remotely conducted continuance public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. At 8:15 PM on the petition submitted by Christopher and Rachel Mirsky, 146 French Road, Rockland, Mass. For a dimensional variance pursuant to zoning bylaws, Article 5, building lot and general district regulations, subsection 415-22, building and lot regulations, 415-22B, yard regulations, and 415-89.1 zoning variances to allow the applicant to build a 21 by 32.4 addition onto the current structure to include a one-car garage with one bedroom and bathroom above garage on the second floor to an alleged pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The lot contains 9,496 plus or minus square feet. The premises is known as and numbered 146 French Road, Rockland, Mass. The property is located in the R2 Residence Zoning District, Section 415-9 of the Rockland of the zoning bylaw and is further identified as Lot 39, Map 16 on the Rockland Assessors maps. Owners of the property are Christopher and Rachel Mirsky, 146 French Road, Rockland, Massachusetts. The applicant and all interested parties are advised to check the town website and the zoning board's webpage for additional information. Okay. I need another ginger ale. So where are we? Mirskis, how you doing?
Here we are.
Good
Hello.
evening.
All right, we're doing a continuance. Deb, remind me why we're doing a continuance here. I can't hear you.
There wasn't
I can't
enough
hear you.
members.
There wasn't, is that what it was? There wasn't enough members the last time? Okay.
We didn't have a quorum.
All right, we didn't have a quorum. That's right. All righty then. So that answers that question. In this situation, and again, we've only got 5 board members, so everybody's voting. I'm not gonna, that's how it's been the whole night. So I'm not gonna worry about that. Let me just get to the plan. Does everybody have the plan in front of them? Say yes.
Yes.
French Rock, right here. All right, Mirskis. Who wants to talk to me?
I'll take this one for now. Chris?
Perfect. Talk to me, sir.
Yeah. We are 10 years in Rockland. I've lived in Rockland my entire life, and we're seeking a variance to our lot to allow for us to build, to continue to stay in the community. You can see this. There's no added pressure here. She's just still awake, but this is our newest member to the family, Emma. So, we are currently 1 bedroom short of our needs. And, we're finding challenges in terms of how to, accommodate our situation based on our lot.
Understood. Nice, simple, and easy. I appreciate that. Mr. Tanzi, any questions of the applicant?
I don't have any at this point.
All right, Mr. Tanzi. We're going to go to Mr. Galvin.
Did you say me or Galvin? I'm sorry.
Absolutely, Mr. Galley.
Okay, sorry. It was a little fuzzy. Sorry. I was just curious. The addition. Would there be like exit doors from the new to the outside, or would just be internal doors to go up and down the stairs from the inside?
For the second floor,
Yeah, for the second floor above the garage.
so that it would continue the second floor, so the hallway would just extend into it to make an extra bedroom. So the hallway would extend all the way across.
All right, thank you. And I've got a question for, I'll say for the chair. I know there, if they have the existing barn, does that have anything to do with effects on the setbacks or anything?
No, because it's
right?
not living, it's not living space. It's an accessory use. So you consider it a giant shed, regardless of what he's got going on in there. It's a giant shed. So
It's about what's going on in there. A lot of
yeah, there you go.
It's not
anything else?
Anything that they're doing in and of itself.
Okay.
Okay, that's what what I was concerned with. I'm sure it would have been said if it was, but all right. Those are my first questions, and that's all I have so far. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Steve. Thank you. Mr. Baker Senior.
Couple of questions, Rob, if I may.
Please do.
The proposed addition, the existing driveway that's going to be behind there, is that going to be removed? Or is the garage going to have a drive-through?
Yeah, it would not be a drive-through. It's just the way that the driveway is right now. I would anticipate like crushed stone or something for our trash barrels, but it would not be a drive-through.
Is that paved area now?
The paving stops at the front of the barn.
In front of the barn and all the way over to the property line? Is that all paved?
It's not paved. I mean, the majority is a concrete floor of the barn, but it's just dirt or stone. Excuse me, it's crushed stone around the
It's paved to the property.
the area.
What he's getting at, the typically when we see like existing driveway, it'll be labeled as existing concrete driveway or bituminous concrete driveway or gravel driveway or something like that. Right now it just says existing driveway, so we don't know what it's like made out of. So I guess what he's trying to get at is when you pull off a French Road, that existing driveway in the front, is that all
Yes.
asphalt?
Yes, it is.
That's all asphalt. When
Yes.
when you travel to the backyard where it says existing driveway, is that also asphalt or is that something?
No, that's correct. It is all asphalt. Yeah. So leading into the driveway, then we have a tree that's overhanging, and then further behind that, up to the barn is asphalt driveway. Correct.
Okay, that's I think that Mr. Baker Senior, is that where you're kind of getting at?
Yes, because if we're gonna do this, are you gonna leave that asphalt there? Or is that gonna come out?
No, I would take it out. Yeah.
Okay. That's basically all I had.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker Senior. Mr. Baker Junior, talk to me, sir.
Nothing at this time, Mr. Chairman, but thank you.
Again, it's another Canada Dry.
We're counting.
Yeah.
Mr. Rubel, I know this is the first time we've talked all night. Thank you for hanging in for this. Got a question for you.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
All right. You know how we deal with the 110 rule? In the situation like this, it being 95, how many feet could they knock off since they're under 110?
One.
One? All right. So they could go, so 15 is the minimum. They could feasibly go down to 14 as the minimum required.
Right.
Oh.
What we do, Mr. Chairman, what we do is we round it up.
Round it up. Okay. So I'm just trying to, I'm bringing this up for the board so the board all knows all this information too. We forget that every once in a while. Everybody, board members, you remember the 110 rule? We know about that. Yes. For every 10 feet below the 110, that's 1 foot off. Everybody knows this. Off the side setback. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Okay. Quick, sorry.
Yes.
So if it's 15 feet, did you say he rounds up?
Mm-hmm.
Only 1 foot? You mean like Forgive me.
No.
Yeah, actually, you got that, it's the, you mean you round down.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, he's got, when I'm saying rounding up, you say he's got 95 feet.
Yep,
You round that up to 100.
round the distance up, I got you.
Round that up to 100, and then it's
Yep.
110, so that's the 10 feet, so that's the 1 foot.
That's the 1 foot, gotcha, that's how it was interpreted, that's how it rolls.
So 98 feet would be rounded up to 100?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So technically, the minimum required at this point would be 14. He's still requesting an 11.8. So the variance request at this point is 14 minus 11.8. It's a 2.2 foot variance on the side. The rear, Attorney Galvin, what's that case that we cite? You're in the setback, so you can continue to be in the setback.
It's the Brookline case. I forgot the name of it. I'm sorry.
No, I know. This is we cite this case every once in a while. In this case,
I can look it up, Rob, if you give me 2 minutes.
please. I'm gonna talk about it a little bit in a layman's terms. And Mirsky's this works in your favor. In layman's terms, if your existing dwelling is already deficient on a zoning setback, meaning the rear setback is supposed to be 50, your house is only at 42.3. So you're already less than the
It's the
required.
Belalta case, Belalta versus the Brookline Zoning Board of Appeals. And it stands for the proposition you don't need a variance when you have an existing nonconformity and all you're looking to do is increase the nonconformity nature. All you need is a special permit. You can't create new nonconformities, but if you have an existing one with a special permit, you can alter or extend.
So this works in your favor, all right, for the rear. The problem is the side. The side is an actual variance. And when it comes to granting variances like this, just like with the case previously, just before yours, there needs to be a reason. And I'm trying to look at this from the reason. And when it comes to the lot shape, it's a rectangle. That's stereotypical. There's no getting around that. When it comes to the topography, I looked at the topography of the lot. It's reasonably flat throughout the entire lot. If the left-hand side of your lot was a major slope, or there was some severe topographical problems on that side, and the only place that you could put this was on this right side, that would be a reason that we could grant the variance. The other thing would be the soils of the lot. So if the soils on the left-hand side were nothing but ledge and stuff like that, where it was going to just really, really cause problems, that's another reason that the board could grant a variance on the left side, on the right side. I don't know how we can do this. I don't know how we can grant that variance, because unless you can tell me unless you can give me a reason that basically, unless you can find label, come out with a defect on the lot that forces you to be that close to the lot line, I don't know how this board can grant that variance. So I guess my question to you is, is it possible to redesign that, knowing that you're not gonna have to worry about the back? All right, you're really not gonna have to worry about the back. It's that side. Is there a way to redesign that to make the side offset, say, like 14 foot 2 inches?
Sure. So I do think that we have flexibility in our design to allow, we did kind of have some spacing for, a breezeway. It's in the proposal. I mean, it's for a garage. I mean, some things that may not necessarily be necessary. If the primary reason for our structure is an extra bedroom, right? So We may not need to, leverage all the space in this case. So, yes, I think that would be entirely reasonable and in scope, if that is kind of how the board views it as well. I think we tend to agree. We don't have, I don't think we have a true hardship in that sense.
I know, I did everything that I could to try and figure out what was going on this property. See, again, I was in the town hall all day trying to work with this stuff.
Appreciate it.
I just do not see how legally we can get by granting the variance without causing some sort of precedent. So I'm gonna ask Deb, when it comes to it, I read the legal ad. There was no mention of a special permit for the back. It was for a variance. So Attorney Galvin, can we grant the special permit the way that it was advertised at this point? Or would the applicant need to amend their application and we'd need to continue it one more time?
You should continue it to another hearing, re-advertise it as a special permit. Okay, under the different section. You could leave the thing in variance and or special permit so that no one could complain that abutters were not given proper notice. And then if the board was so inclined, you could grant it a special permit and deny as moot the variance request.
Mirskis, do you hear what I'm trying to do?
Yes.
Okay. Will you be able to contact your land surveyor, or is this Perkins? Will you, Perkins?
Yeah.
Will you be able to contact them and say, have them modify the plot plan? You don't necessarily have to modify your architectural plan at this point, but if you modify the plot plan, make sure that the minimum, my suggestion is, make sure that the minimum offset is no less than 14.2 feet. All right, it gives that's basically giving you a little under 3 inches of wiggle room, of screw up factor, because in the grand scheme of things, we never know how this is all going to work from a construction standpoint. You can plan as best as you can, but just on the in case, 14 is the minimum. All right, if it has to be to 14, it is what it is. All right, but in the grand scheme of things, we like to see a little bit better than the 14. Mr. Rubel, are you so far? Are you okay with this?
Yeah, I'll be asking for an as-built for the foundation. And is your home now, is it hardwired with smokes and COs, or they just battery backup?
It is hardwired.
Good for you. Because once you add the bedroom, it's got to be hardwired.
Yep.
So I'm all set.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rubel. I appreciate it. And again, thanks for hanging in, sir.
Okay.
All right. I would entertain a motion to continue this public hearing.
Second.
I'd entertain. I wasn't making one.
Will you?
Okay, I've got Mr. Tansey.
We need a date.
Well, now we got everybody making a motion.
Yeah, most.
Mr. Tansey, did you make the motion?
I did.
Okay. Mr. Baker Senior, did you second that?
Yes.
Okay. Deb, what do we got for 30 days?
We've got March 19th or April 2nd.
March 19th. Mirskis, does that work for you?
Yeah, please.
That gives you definitely more time. So that'll help. All right. So we got a motion to continue the public hearing to March 19th at what time, Deb?
7:30.
At 7:30. I got a motion. I got a second. Roll call. Mr. Tansey?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. Galley?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Senior?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior?
Yes.
There you go. All right, Mirskis, we got the continuance. Everything is good. Talk to your surveyor. And
Well,
yes.
do we need a letter from them to on the time frame?
Deb?
Yes, we probably should.
Okay. Mirskis, can you put together a letter? Deb, can they call you tomorrow and talk to you about the specific language?
Yes,
Mirskis, can you contact Deb tomorrow and just coordinate with her specific language for a letter and then get it to her? That way everything stays good. Yes.
Yes,
Thank
can
you.
do.
Appreciate that. Welcome to Rockland, Emma.
Trying to stay.
Appreciate it.
Not a problem. All right, we'll see you in March.
Thanks, Bob. See you over there. Take care.
Thank you. All right, board members, where are we now? That's everybody there, then non-deliberative announcements and scheduling and does anybody have, Deb, you got anything to talk about?
yeah, I do, but I can't remember. The agreements for the marijuana.
Yes, that's right. Okay, everybody remembers when it comes to the marijuana establishments, we always had host community agreements, and that host community agreement talked about the money that they were going to pay to the town and how they were going to do all kinds of other things when it came to community outreach and stuff like that. Does everybody remember that? Well,
Yeah.
apparently the state did away with that. There is no such thing as a host community agreement anymore. So the board of selectmen voted to do away with the requirement of a host community agreement because it wasn't needed anymore. In order to make this clean, we're going to have to modify our zoning bylaw to take that out too, because that was a requirement for med or recreational to supply us a copy of the host community agreement. So it's just a matter of modifying the zoning bylaw to take that out. Anybody have a problem with that?
I have no objection.
Yeah, because it's not that it's removing language, and we can't vote on that anyway. This is planning board that's gotta approve that. So it's just a matter of taking it to the planning board and saying, hey, this is what we'd like to do. We'd like to strike. I think it was, what letter was it, Deb? It was like section H, letter I, letter E or something.
So yeah, I have
Whatever
it.
it was.
I have it.
There was one paragraph that needed to be deleted, and that was it. So I'll put it to, between Deb and I, we'll put something together. I'll email it out to you guys just to show you what's going to happen. I'll put that in front of the plan. Yes, Steve.
This just reminds me, are we going to set a new date to talk about suggested changes to the bylaws?
I think we are. Deb, you were talking about Allison wanted to do something when it came to the other thing, the
Yes,
MBTA things.
yeah, the MBTA on March 2nd.
So at that time, I think we can add
I'm sorry,
that in.
February 2nd. I'm sorry,
February
February
2nd?
6th. February
So
6th.
I think we can add that in. So if everybody could come up with just one thing that you'd like to see get changed, if it could be anything within the bylaw. I'd like to start doing this on a regular basis. That way we stay, I don't know, we try and stay calm because we're the ones that have to deal with this all the time. Tom Rubel's the same. I know he's got a list. So if we can keep doing this once or twice a year or something like that, I think it would help. So on the 2nd, if you can come up with something, doesn't matter what it is, I don't care what it is, just a something that you'd like to see changed. And if you've got the proposed change, that would be good. Everybody, it works for everybody? Yes? Yes?
Yes.
I see everybody saying yes, so that works.
Mr. Chairman, just a
Yes.
quick question.
Please.
Would it be possible for the members to see the list as it currently exists prior to the 2nd?
The list of everything that we've got going on, or that
Well, no, and the last time this was brought up, Deb said she was maintaining a list of suggestions to be considered.
Oh, yeah.
Would it be possible for us to see that before the 2nd, just to see what's already been proposed?
I don't see why not. Deb, you got any problems with that? Perfect.
Thank you. And thank you, Deb.
Deb, if you can wing a copy out to the board just so they can get an idea. And everybody, I guess, you look at the list, pick one. Pick one off the list that you want to kind of get behind, and we'll do it that way. I like that. So, all right. Anything else to talk about? Nope. deliberative announcements, scheduling. What's our next meeting, Deb?
Next meeting is February 6th.
February 6th, okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I got a motion to adjourn. Need a second.
Second,
I got a second over there, Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior.
yes.
Before I go to Mr. Galley, Attorney Galvin, you got anything else to say?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
get out of here. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.